people around us can tell us that we're changing, but sometimes we're not, because you can change how you look on the outside, you can change how you act sometimes, but that doesn't mean that you've changed on the inside. Only time will tell. Here's maybe a good measurement if change has actually happened. If the change that has happened is something that lasts past a short period of time, if that new thing that you've brought into your life is actually there, to stay. I think it's like a fair measurement, right? Like the fact that you fasted for a day, the fact that you didn't curse for a week, the fact that you didn't overspend money for a month, that's an awesome step. But that doesn't mean that it's a habit and that that transformation has happened. Right. It seems like transformation is indicative of this is something that is permanent that I'm doing without thinking. Because it becomes habitual. Like it's already there without me actually having to think about it. Like, notice like people that go to the gym, the reason why they're so transformed is because their habits are just permanent. So like they don't go to the gym and they're just like, I must work out and I must squeeze and I will do. No, it's just it's just almost automatic, right? Because they've made a habit of it. They don't go like, oh, I can't eat this or that. Maybe they do on a personal level, but once you get accustomed to it, it just becomes so normal. That's where that term normalized comes from, where it's so common that it's so interesting. So here's a good measurement is you can tell if you've changed, if the habits, right, that you've adopted are just now a part of your life.
Yeah.
And if they're not, it's so funny you guys bring up that word change, because it's really easy. So there's people who probably listen to this who maybe are joining right because they know some of us, and there's who are, Christian or not there yet, whatever they may be, right? Respect every position. But, what's interesting is, I guess the question that Paul, maybe on an even non-religious way, is asking is, are the things that you're involving yourself in your life leading you to transformation, to actually growing or not? Just because, look, if you go to the gym for 6 months and your body's not changing, whatever that means for you, losing weight, cutting, bulking, toning, whatever you want to label it as, if nothing's changed in 6 months, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, the same thing with church. If you go to church for 6 months, I think one of the reasons why church for many people hasn't worked is because we don't go do any work at church. We're just kind of, you sit in a car like a car in a parking lot, just there. There's no movement, and you expect things to change. Or like, it's like when people go to the gym and they dress all like super gymmy, and then they go, and then 6 months later they look the same, and it's like, well, I wore the outfits and I went to, the gym, and you're just like, yeah, but you did nothing. It's like,
right.
So it's interesting. Like the transformation is very clear based on what are the habits that you have in your life. Not right. Just because you did it for a day or like 2 days or a week. Is it something that's actually permanent, right? Is it something that over time you start doing without thinking?
That's good. I'm thinking when you say that, I think of like when you speak on people who go to church and not, sorry, that gallon of jug caught me off guard.
Let the people know. Show people.
Guys,
I'm being transformed.
He's transforming, continuously transforming. So when you speak on like you go to church and you're not, you don't feel a difference or any of that. I feel like there's two parts to that. There are people who are not aware that, nothing's changing. And then the people that see that, but they just say, well, I'm going to church. At least I'm going to church.
Right.
And then we look at it in the aspect of going to the gym, the people who have, like, they go to the gym for 6 months, see no progress. You have that physical, aspect where you can see that. But spiritually, I think that we're so ignorant in that aspect, and we're not aware of that, because we don't like pray for the grace to be aware of that, of our sins and be aware of our growth. And I think it's crazy because like when you go to the gym and your motivation is to increase weight, and let's say you're on a bench program, and every week or every month or so you're just trying to increase weight because you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. A lot of us don't do that when we go to church. We kind of just go to church. We go to mass on
don't go
Sunday.
deeper.
We don't go deeper at all.
Right.
And I think that the whole point of like conversion is to, like how we're speaking it, it's just making it a habit of just trying to continuously convert your heart.
Yeah.
Because there's a downfall in that.
Right.
And you can just fall back to who you were, or even worse. So I think that's a really good point that you brought up, in that whole like parallel with the gym and all that. Because in the gym you see yourself changing. Spiritually, it's hard because that reflects on.
It's different.
Yeah. It's different.
But I think it's what I would say though. It's actually trackable.
I'll never be alone. I'm with you. You're closer to my heart than I knew.